It's time to play with some new lasers and accessories again. Madethebest sent me out a update package for my Ortur LaserMaster 2 Pro, and this is upgraded to a 10-watt unit. So they sent me out a complete package to do the whole upgrade, and the first thing I'm opening here is actually the honeycomb. They have this honeycomb, and I know I've shown these in the past, and you really need these for the 10 watts. And this one actually has a sheet of steel to protect the bench under it too, because the 10 watts can go right through. Now I've got it upside down here. I'll show you later, but there is our rulers on the other side of it. So that was the first part. And then the new laser module actually has a hookup for air assist. So they sent me one of their air assist pumps, and it's actually, looking at it, it came with a nozzle. And it was an old Ortur laser that I have there, and it looks like this nozzle will clamp right on there. So if you want to retrofit an older machine with a an easy way to retrofit it with air assist, this would work. And it does come with a couple feet of tubing here. It's a real soft tubing. You have to be careful that you don't kink it or anything. But there you can see, it's like almost like a black silicone type tubing. And then it does come with a couple of fittings if you have to, piece pieces together or anything to go through the bulkhead or anything like that. And the power supply, and then the pump. Now the pump is, I think it's kind of like a big heavy-duty aquarium pump. Puts out more air than one, it seems like, but there it is. And it does have some mounting holes on it, and it has a knob on it that you turn to adjust the output of it, and just a little place there to put your tubing on for the air to come out of, and that actually feeds to your air assist. Let's see, I just throw the tubing on here for a second and plug it in and then turn it on. And you will hear when it first starts up, the first quarter of that scale of the knob really is kind of useless. It just makes a lot of noise and doesn't put out a lot of air. Once you get past a certain point, you can hear it start to smooth out, and the air flow increases. So that's how it looks and sounds. And it did come with like an extra nozzle too, if you want to try to retrofit that to something else along with the fittings there. Now here's the star of the show. This is the latest and greatest laser module from Ortur. It is a 10-watt output, and I tell you what, you'll see in a little while, this thing blows away all the other 10 watts that I've tried. I think it's better than the Atom Stack and better than the X-Tool D1. Just an amazing laser. So here it is. I guess Ortur does everything right. They were last to release, but they did do a good job on it. So here it is. This is a dual 5-watt diode laser. It's got plenty of cooling. You can see there are 2 cooling fans on it, and really simple, small, and it looks really nice. And then in the package, there's everything you need to hook it up. There's a flow control in there, some screws, and some tie wraps, and couple feet of, this one here is the cable. This does not just plug in. It's not a plug-in to the LM2 Pro. It's there's an interface board that's required, but it does come with a new cable there, and it has multi-pins on that one. And there's a couple feet of tubing again. And this one actually has a separate power supply that it requires that you run to get enough power to run it. And then last but not least, there is actually there's another piece in the thing, but this one here is the interface board that you have to mount on the LM2 Pro machine to be able to upgrade it. And this all comes as a kit with good instructions to install in multiple languages. So there it is there. It's really well shielded and stuff, so you just have to figure out how to mount this on the machine. And okay, there's a shield that was the last part left in the box, and that just snaps on the front there. So it's real easy to put that on and take it off. And the amazing thing about this laser is it comes with a really efficient built-in air assist. You just plug the tubing into the back of it there. Now you have to push the little ring in to get that soft tubing in there, and then you can see it's piped right down into there, and there's a place to screw in the nozzle. And here it is, the air nozzle. So this is all one, all one unit that works together. It's it's factory built. It's not like trying to add stuff on and try to make it work right later. So you just screw that on, and you have a engineered air assist that really does work good. I'll show you in a little while. And then you can just put that back on there, little shield. And that's it. You just plug that in, and that's ready to go with air assist. And I'm just going to hook it up to the pump here for a second. And you can hear that, I'm banging a little bit on the lower speed, but then it smooths right out once you crank it up a little bit. And here's a handful of sawdust. I'll just show you. It's that's on medium speed there, so it does have a really good flow through there. And it looks like it's going to work good. We'll see in a little while. But so this is kind of like a complete kit to do an upgrade and have everything proper when you're done. And it also comes with a new slide to mount to put on the LaserMaster 2. And this does have a nice shorter screw in there, and there's also a metal plate to prevent it from digging into the slide, so you'll be able to adjust it and you'll never have like dead spots in it. So pretty much that's what it looks like. And okay, I almost forgot, there's a little focus spacer there too. You flip that down to focus it, and then you just flip it up to run. So I can't wait to just show you how this thing actually works. Now just one quick look back at that nozzle that came with that Dewallie pump, and you can see I was just playing with that on my old laser there, and it does fit perfect. So if you just want to upgrade something, that's a good way to go. So now I'm going to start by pulling the 5-watt module off my LaserMaster. This has been really a workhorse, and zero problems with it, and a very reliable machine, I will say that. And it wasn't my favorite because it only had the 5-watt laser on it. You couldn't cut thicker stuff and run it at higher speeds. So the first thing you have to do is just pull off the old slide plate. And then the new one comes with a couple of little bit shorter screws, different, and it just bolts right onto the mounting on the arm there. And I did have to rip out all that old high pressure air assist that I put in too. I no longer will have to run the compressor with this. I'm just going to mount the Dewallie pump inside the enclosure there. So there it is. You got to cut out. I've got to cut out all my old wiring and take that one shield screw that goes to the corner there, and you take that out and then unplug it. And then this new laser just goes right in there. But I got to a point where I decided that it was too tight to finish trying to put this all together in there, and I had to rip out all my old plumbing and stuff from the high pressure line. So okay, there you can see there's my old line. It fits inside the new one there, so you can see the difference between running high pressure and low pressure. But I just cut a couple things apart, pulled out some lines, and then I actually picked the whole unit out of there to go work on it on the bench. Now the instructions that actually come with it don't really tell you where to mount that extra interface board when you're doing the conversion. They just tell you to mount it somewhere, and they do show you, hanging it off in different spots. But I found that there's two holes right on this side there of the existing thing that were a little bit small for M4 screws, so I just drilled them out, and I had to drill one hole in the plastic shield on the interface board out, and then I took some M4 by 10 screws and nuts, and it mounted nice and solidly. You can see there's a couple holes in the corner there, and it mounted nice and solidly right up against there, and it was out of the way, and it wouldn't affect the weight on the cross slide there, so you could still run really fast. So this is where I decided to put it. Now you may decide to put it somewhere else, but you can see I started running the you loosely tie wrap the tubing to that cable. That's a new cable there, and it goes back and plugs into the board. And then if you tie it too tight, no air will go through the tubing, it'll collapse. But that's how I routed it around, and I made sure everything, would work with no interference there. And you can kind of see it does really simple, and everything works. So this is kind of up to the user that's doing it. And then to the top of that top plastic shield, and that I actually took the old wire that used to go to the old laser and curled it up and tie wrapped it to the top of that shield. And then I had to tie wrap these new wires for the power supply and the air assist bigger line to the outside of that cable trough for now. So that was that was basically the conversion. And then I went over and I said, okay, I know what people want to see. They want to see what this will cut. So basically I grabbed a piece of 6mm Baltic birch plywood first. And at first I didn't have the air pump turned on, you can see. And I will say I didn't have to make any changes in Lightburn. It recognized that nothing changed on the setup or anything else. So, it's really easy to just plug in and run when you get done. But here's a piece of 6mm birch, and I just used some of my old settings. I think I was 90% and 100 millimeters a minute there on 6mm birch, and that's no problem for it. You can see a really nice clean cut right through it. So that's going to be good for cutting the thicker stuff, because it really does a super clean job. Alright, so then I had a piece of 9mm or 3/8 plywood I was going to try, and I didn't really know the settings on it, so I decided to do a couple passes on it at 90% power. And there's how you focus it. You can see that little focus thing just goes down and flips up. So I'm just going to run that same circle. And I think I'm running there 100 millimeters a minute, and let's speed it up here and do a couple passes around here. I think I did 3 on this one, or I did 2 actually. Did 2 passes at first, and almost, it didn't quite go through with 2 passes. So I put it in there, and I'm like, okay, let's take this thing and try to slow it down to about 80. I think I slowed this down to 80 millimeters a second there. Did 2 passes. And pretty much the same thing. It was almost cut through, but you couldn't quite pop it out. Alright, so now I'm just going to do a 3rd pass on it. So, 3 passes on 9mm, and this is a really hard plywood too. Actually did work in the end. You see the piece popped right out, nice clean cut. So it's going to take you 3 passes at about 90% power, 100 millimeters a second to do 3/8 plywood. Well, let's go for 12mm plywood. I haven't found much that can cut this yet, so this is getting into CO2 laser range now. And I just set this up for, let's see what I set it up for. I think I set this up for 6 passes to start. And I did up it to 100% power, because I know that when you get in something this thick, your focus actually starts going off once you get down about 1/4 of an inch. So I just let that run 6 passes. And there it is. I probably could have gotten away with 5 passes. You can see how that last pass did a little extra burn in there. Beautiful cut though for a 12mm. I just can't believe it. This thing is like Really nice fine line and just a clean cut. Alright, so let's try 3/4. This is really into CO2 laser territory. And this is a fairly hard multi-ply plywood too. It's a cabinet grade plywood. So I'm going to set it up there, same thing, focus it. I didn't know where to focus it. I left it just off the top edge of it. And then I said, okay, let's see how this works. So I just set it up 100% power. And this is actually 100 millimeters a second. And I did 10 passes. Well, I had to stop it at number 9 because you can see what happens. It looks like the bottom of a UFO there is just burning out inside the piece. It went to a certain depth. It went down about 5/8 of an inch, and then it couldn't go anymore, so it just started burning out like a 1/4 inch wide there's smoke. 1/4 inch wide section. And I've got like a big donut mold that it made in there, so it won't do this hard plywood. It'll go about 5/8 of an inch down, and that's it. It loses focus. So I'm going to say, 1/2 inch is probably the limit to do if you're going to do a lot of it. I wouldn't recommend doing the 3/4 unless you had like a soft basswood or something like that. You might get through it. So then, just for the heck of it, at the end, I went and I took a piece of 3mm Baltic birch, and I took that jigsaw puzzle I had made from my wife's photo a while back. I didn't have any other projects going now, so I just figured I'd use the same settings I did, but what I did is I doubled the speed of travel on the laser, and actually you can see it's doing a really good job. So you can run this one twice the speed of the 5-watt one and get an equivalent photo out of it. And everything's working perfect. No changes to light burn or anything. And a couple minutes later, I had this photo knocked out. Then I went to the cutting mode, and I did not know what the settings should be. I started with the 90%, 100 millimeters a minute, and let it start cutting. But you'll see that I did get some darker lines in there that I didn't want. I wanted to try to get it fine lined, so I went into light burn, and I started futzing with the speed and the power until I got a point where I got a really nice thin cut with no burn on the face of it. And you can see I've got that Dewallie pump mounted up in the back there too, and that's what makes it so loud. In the enclosure, it's actually louder than when you have it out in the air. But it's kind of hard to see here, but in the end I did finally get it adjusted, so I got a really light thin line, and that was just one pass in 3mm Baltic birch. And there that is again. So by messing with the speed and feed, I was actually, you can see in the middle there where it's really dark, and that's because I was running too slow and too much power. So this actually is customizable. You're just going to have to play with it till you work out the settings that you want. But I'm real happy with how that came out and the speed at which you can do things with this laser. Everything's cut perfect, nice fine line stuff. So looks like it's a real winner here. I think this is one of the best lasers that I've tried for a blue diode laser. It's getting up there in the CO2 range, and you definitely want a good honeycomb underneath it when you're cutting with this thing too. And it does fit right on, the existing LaserMaster 2 Pro, and that Dewallie pump works perfect with it, and the grid works, just perfect with it. So I'm going to have to say that this is really a winning combination if you want to upgrade an existing machine. They are coming out with a new machine too if you want to, just buy another machine. But I think this is a good way to get to that 10-watt level and, have a really great laser. Like everything else that Ortur makes, it is a really well-made, kit that works together and just bolts right on and plug and play. So, that makes it really easy for upgrading. So I just wanted to share this with you because I know a lot of people bought these Ortur lasers and are looking for a little more power, and this is an easy way to get it. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe.